So it's been a minute since I've gone live or been on YouTube in general. I've been kind of focusing on my other platforms. Hopefully you can hear me. I apologize if there's a lot of background noise, just because of the simple fact that I wasn't preparing to get on live. But I wanted to get on here, and I wanted to talk to my single mothers. I've been a mom for 17 years, and for a majority of the time, and the only reason why I'm saying majority is because I've had a couple of relationships in my time, but for the majority of the time, I've been doing this shit by myself. And I'm not gonna lie, it's not easy. This past couple of weeks have been very trying for me, just because of the simple fact that I have 2 teenagers, for one, and I'm realizing that I don't have little kids anymore. I can't parent them the same because I basically have adults in training. And it hits different, especially when you have to find a balance in setting boundaries, standing on business, making sure that they understand that, hey, you're still a kid and you still live under my roof, and there's still certain rules that you're still going to follow. And just speaking from experience, I know that sometimes it can be easier said than done when it comes to single parenting, and we tend to be a little more lenient when it comes to just having our foot on our children's necks, because sometimes we do things out of more so convenience, meaning that we don't stand on business as much as we should. And our kids play on that, whether they're doing it subconsciously or consciously. Anyways, my main reason why I wanted to get on here is because I know that when things get overwhelming, when things can become overstimulating, it's easy to fall out of your habits. It's easy to find yourself not sticking to certain routines that are going to get you to the goals that you're trying to achieve for yourself. And I wanted to come on here in reference to being more supportive and just kind of speaking to the individuals who are struggling with that, because I've been there. I have been in situations where life has gotten the best of me, my emotions have gotten the best of me, and I have allowed things to just come crumbling down and basically say F it when it comes to certain things. And you can't put yourself in those type of situations, because it's going to delay you from your success. So I know that when it comes to, continuing to move on with life and dealing with the things the best way that you can, it's easy to fall out of those habits. It's easy to, not continue to go to the gym, not cook consistently, or go get, that fast food versus, having your meals done. And I just wanted to come on here to kind of share with you guys some of the things that I have done as a single mother that has giving me some of my time back for me to be able to do the things that I need to do to get ahead, to accomplish those goals. And more so, the reasoning why I wanted to do this is because, not to try to compare myself to other people, but I do stick out. I do stick out to my friends. Hey guys, I do stick out when it comes to a lot of my friends from the past and how I've outgrown them. And as far as seeing my success level and seeing where they are, we do operate a lot differently. So I just want to kind of give you guys a few pointers of some of the things that maybe you can try to implement into your life to get ahead. And shit, if it works for you, great. If it doesn't, that's cool. Everything that I do, it's not going to resonate for who you are and what you want to do with your life. But these are some of the things that have worked for me. So I'm trying to make this quick, because I'm about 27 minutes from my next building that I got to get to for work. So as a single mom, I used to be one of those individuals who used to cook every day. Every freaking day. And as my kids got older and they weren't so little no more, and they were a little more independent, I had to set some boundaries when it came to that. And don't get me wrong, I still throw down, but I'm not causing myself to do that every day, because my careers have changed. It requires more time. I have businesses that I still have to run. And again, I'm doing this by myself. So meal prepping has been a game changer for me. cooking a couple of different meals, and then being able to have that stuff throughout the week for your kids to be able to tap into when they get, through school, when they get out of school, and just being able to have those go-to options. It's helped me too as far as weight regulation. I am a very emotional being. It took me a long time to obtain emotional intelligence, and I'm an emotional eater. Even though I try to be in the gym as much as I can, I'm still a human being, and sometimes my routine is thrown off. But being able to make sure that I am making conscious decisions and putting the right things in my body has allowed me to be able to maintain my weight, especially when life gets to lifing and I'm not able to, get to the gym as frequently as I want to do. It still allows me to be able to maintain the weight. And I think that that's very important, especially when it comes to women, because we are our biggest critics. And I don't care what nobody says. Not saying that anything against anybody in any sizes, because everybody is beautiful in their own way. But if you don't feel good about how you look, guess what? It's going to exude out your energy. And guess what? You're going to attract that back to you. So I think confidence is key in anything that you're doing. So it's important that you're doing everything that you can to make sure that you are looking to par. However that looks for you. Taking care of yourself it's important, because at the end of the day, if you don't do that, who else is going to do that for you? Nobody going to look out for you the way that you going to look out for you. Another thing that has been a game changer for me is meditation. For a long time I was against it, especially growing up in the churches, and Christianity tries to push that it's not good. That is changed my life. Even though, going in and out of therapy all throughout my life, they say take deep breaths. Nobody wants to typically hear that shit, Nobody wants to hear that, especially when you're pissed off. However, guided meditations, especially Brian Scott, that's a YouTuber that I highly recommend. He's a game changer. I love it because with meditating and listening to some of the activations that he has on there, it helps rewire the programming. A lot of us have grown into certain households where, we love our parents, or we love the people that raised us the best way that they can, but who the fuck said that was the right way to raise us? You know what I mean? And I come from trauma. Respectfully, I love my family, but there's a lot of people in my family that are not doing the inner work, and I don't want to continue those generational curses. I don't want my children to learn that stuff. I'm trying to break certain things. So I've had to unlearn a lot of behavior that I used to project, that I thought once was normal, until I got out in the real world, moved, away from my hometown, and realized there's other more positive ways to be able to be. Another thing I did was I read on emotional intelligence. They have an emotional intelligence book for dummies that really breaks it down and helps you learn, just different ways to be able to articulate your emotions, how to be able to better express yourself, what to do with those emotions, how to properly feel those emotions. Another suggestion is go to therapy. And if therapy doesn't work for you, you got to learn how to properly regulate yourself, because single moms especially, we're typically operating out of survivor mode. Okay, we got to keep going. We got to be the therapist for our kids. We got to be the comforter. We got to be the person that disciplines. We got to be the nurturer. We got to be the provider. That's a lot of weight that we held. We a lot of times overextend ourselves. We put them before us. We put ourselves last. We're not pouring in our own cups, and that does affect how we operate on a daily. And again, if you're not taking care of you, who else is going to take care of you? This is important. So making sure that you're taking the time out to basically feed your spirit, pour into your own cup, that is needed. It's necessary. Even journaling, that's something that I was against, or I don't even want to say against, I just wasn't consistent with it. It was a main thing that a lot of my therapists growing up had always recommended to me, and I would attempt it once or twice, but it was never a consistent thing. When I started learning different ways on how to properly journal, when I started actually getting prompts and actually learning how to reflect on my own shit, I don't know how it disconnected. If you constantly put your energy and your focus of more of what you do not have, going to get more of what you do not have. It's just the way that the universe works, unfortunately. I mean, it's the way that it is. Like, we can not pay attention or not believe certain universal laws all we want, but it's happening regardless of whether we want to be we want to acknowledge it or not. Certain shit is happening. So the best thing that you can do for yourself is take the time out to really understand how to get out of the matrix. So reading is another game changer. I love to do it as a kid, but I stopped doing it because I got so busy. I didn't have the time. Taking the time out to listen to audiobooks and just feeding yourself with positive things, self-developmental things on how you can make yourself be better, how you can do better, that has been a game changer. Another thing is learning financial literacy. My first job was a banker when I graduated out of high school. And you know how many bags I have fumbled just because I did not know how to hold proper space for the money, yet alone maintain the money. I can make the money. The problem was I could not keep the money. So taking the time out to learn financial literacy, learning what to do, how to properly invest, not always investing in designer and all this type of stuff, because you learn over time, life's going to have its ups and downs. Our economy is going to forever shift. The things that you once did, it's not going to work anymore. We're all supposed to be here to constantly evolve. So you have to be able to pivot. And to be able to pivot, that's going to require you to be able to learn how to do different things. And you have to prepare for those seasons where the money is not going to be moneying the way that you're used to it. Otherwise, you're going to be screwed and finding yourself having to start over consistently. And nobody wants that life, especially when you're doing it by yourself. My generation alone, I'm 36. I've experienced the 2008 recession. I've experienced the pandemic, and now I'm experiencing high inflation costs. So I feel like, anybody in this age bracket, you never really got a real opportunity to be able to build wealth because we've had so many different changes. But it has also allowed me to grow, and it has also prepared me for later on in life. It has also showed me more that it's so much more important things in life than materialistic things. And how I was able to even start getting that mindset is I had to change my habits. I had to change my habits. Another thing, I picked up a real bad habit when I was dating my ex years ago, and I was so against marijuana. Don't get me wrong, Mary Jane it can be a beautiful thing, but that's something that I noticed that it just wasn't for me. It had me lazy, it had my money different, because I was just too relaxed, and I kept delaying things, procrastinating on things. I wasn't as productive nor as sharp or as clear as I am when I do not engage in those type of activities. I slowed down on drinking so much. I wasn't really a heavy drinker, but I was more of a social drinker. I stopped putting myself out in situations where I'm constantly partying or fear of missing out and engaging with certain things. I started saying no. And I used to struggle with that because I was concerned about, I didn't want somebody to think I didn't have it or I wasn't capable. I've learned to not give a fuck, because the same people that, are constantly asking me to engage or go out in certain activities, I'm seeing take certain trips and then their cars being repossessed, the following month or weeks later. And that's just not a life that I want for myself. I got too many responsibilities and too much to lose, and I feel like at this big age, certain lessons should have been learned. And I get that everybody is growing and on different levels, but that's not something that I want for myself. So I've just learned how to be able to slow down, say no, and invest my energy and my money in more important. I had to learn. I was not only an emotional eater, I was an emotional spender. I would go out shopping on an emotional level, what we call retail therapy. That's a no-no. That's a no-no. When I moved, guys, a couple of years ago, I gave away so many bags of clothes and shoes, and I couldn't for the life of me understand, why did I have all of this stuff? Where did I think I was going, and why did I not utilize it the way that I should have? And it made me feel some type of way, because I realized I had a real problem. I spend too much money on unnecessary shit. That's an issue. That money could have been invested in a stock. That money could have been invested in a business, another business course to help me, you know, grow and become better, which I'm always investing in business courses, but you have to also think about how much money do we spend on unnecessary things. So I had to change my habits when it came to that. But I'm not going to talk you guys to death. I hope some of these changes that I have implemented might be useful or helpful for you. Main thing that I had to do was learn how to do framework, and I had to go within. And that consisted of emotional regulation. That's one of the main things something that was able to help me be able to start shifting my mindset. And I have created an email series for 21 days because they say it takes, 21 days for you to start a new habit. If you really truly need help or some type of assistance to and you really want to do the inner work, I'm not talking about if you want to change, if you really want to flow and an increase in your money, if you really want to get yourself to the next level, if you really are tired of living paycheck to paycheck, if you're really tired of just constantly being frustrated and an emotional wreck, and you really want change in your life, I highly encourage you to click the link in my bio, go to Glow Up Season and click Soft Life Strong Habits and educate yourself and do the work. It's not something that's long-winded. Do the work. You deserve that to yourself. You are your biggest asset, okay? This is inner transformation. That means that it's going to be forever changing you so you can be able to start doing the things that you need to do to achieve that success. At some point, you got to be tired of the same shit. If it's not working, you got to try something else. Okay, you cannot keep getting the same results with something new by doing the same stuff. You have to implement new ways, and obviously you don't know what those new ways are if you're still experiencing the same shit. So again, no pressure, but I highly encourage you to figure it out, because sitting in the same situation and letting those cycles replay, that's insanity. You want the change or not, you got to do something, and the change is only going to start with you. You can say, oh, I'm going to move out of my city. Oh, I'm going to quit messing with this person. Regardless of what you do and where you go, if you got bad habits, they're going to follow you. And that's just real. Again, speaking from experience. But I'm not going to hold you guys. I'm about to pull up to my building, and I got to go do some real work. So I hope this video was helpful. If it was, make sure that you hit the like button. If you like my energy, make sure you hit the subscribe button. I'll talk to y'all later.